What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. At this point, with Kawhi Leonard, definitely, the return is definitely, expected, anticipated. It's very high, even more so than what it has been. I mean, we're talking about one of the best players in the league. Especially, no doubt, top 5 player in the league when healthy. I personally think he's the best player in the league. He's my favorite player, as I said many times before. And when you look at the situation with Kawhi Leonard, him returning to the Clippers would be a very, very it would make the West very, very interesting. The Clippers would definitely be a wild card to come out of the West, even though they're lower seeded team because they have had injuries. But with him coming back and PG already being there and Norman Powell coming back, they would be a tough force. They will be tough to deal with for anybody. And I definitely say that with, conviction, simply because of the depth that they have as a team, with the role players and how they've played throughout the season without their superstar players. And now that they're getting everybody back, now they're going to be even tougher to beat. But in regards to Kawhi Leonard, he was seen yesterday at practice, with the guys. I don't know if he practiced specifically with the guys, and everything, but we did see him get a lot of shots in, work on his right jab, with his left knee, his right knee, right pivots, turns, things like that, working on the little things, that would definitely help build his confidence back up. And, I feel like a lot of this stuff is coming out about Kawhi Leonard because I really feel like he's definitely trying to make that comeback. In years past, I can remember watching Kawhi Leonard on the Spurs and things like that. I remember seeing him just being very precautious with injuries and things like that, and smaller injuries than what he's had now. And I definitely understand that because you never understand or know what a player's body is going through. You just don't know that. You could pretend like but you don't. You know what I'm saying? So if a player sits out longer than expected, I mean, you could speculate all you want, but at the same time, you never know how somebody feels because you don't know what that person's feeling. You're not in their body to know. You know what I'm saying? Only thing you know how something feels is your body. You know how your body feels. You don't know how nobody else's body feels. So it's hard to really say. But at the same time, in saying that, looking at Kawhi Leonard now with this team, I just feel like he has an extra high spirit, for this team with the Clippers. And I feel like he has that high spirit with them because not only I feel like he likes the guys in the locker room, he likes what he has, and he likes the coach and the environment. But I feel like more so than anything, he loves the city of LA and he wants to bring a championship to the city of LA. And if he could do it in a Clippers jersey, I definitely believe he's all for it, because he know this part of the city or this team in the city hasn't, had that opportunity to see that. And, him and Paul George can definitely help that happen, make that happen. But of course, both of them have to be healthy enough to do so. And we have to see them both live that through and see how it plays out. But I definitely feel like he's ramping up a lot because he wants to return to this team so much because he believes in these guys. And of course, with his expertise and how good of a player he is when he's healthy, I mean, they definitely can win the championship. I don't think nobody would deny that because they definitely are good enough. I don't think nobody can ever say they're not good enough to win it because they definitely got the talent. They definitely got the coach. They definitely got the superstar. They definitely got the second superstar, and they got the role players that can play their role to perfection and win it. So I mean, honestly, the Clippers are so deep to me. If they made it to a NBA Finals, I could see somebody like this may sound crazy, but I could see somebody like Reggie Jackson, possibly winning a Finals MVP or something like that. I mean, they got so much depth and so much scoring and so much guys that can make things happen on defensive end, on the offensive end. I mean, it's just, and I'm not saying that would happen, but I definitely think Kawhi, or would win the Finals MVP if they were healthy, or maybe PG at the least. But I mean, one of their other guys are good enough scorers where they can go into a series and almost dominate. I mean, look at Reggie Jackson last year. He almost dominated. He pretty much dominated that whole Dallas series. it just, Kawhi Leonard played better. That's all that was. I mean, but for the most part, I mean, he literally took over. He literally played great that whole series because he was pretty much unstoppable himself. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Their depth is so wide. They got so much wide variety of guys who can score and who can come at you in so many different ways. It wouldn't surprise me, if one of them, had a really big breakout series, once they really get into the playoffs and everything like that, because they're just so deep as a team. And they've shown you that, because when you looked at this team without Kawhi and PG, they were winning games without neither one of their superstars, whether they trailed by 35 or whether they was up by 35. It just didn't matter. They found ways to win because they're that deep, and they got that much talent on the offensive end, and they got talent on the defensive end too, because they were one of the top 10, I believe, or top 10 or top 15 teams in defense, this year. I mean, even though they didn't have their two best defenders, what I'm saying? So, I mean, that says a lot about that team. But, you add Kawhi Leonard back to this mix, and this team can really do a lot of great things. I definitely think this team can possibly, go to back-to-back finals, if this team was healthy enough and stayed healthy enough, because I just don't know if anybody really, can contend with this team in a 7-game series if they're 100% healthy, because I think it'll be coming from too many directions offensively, and I think defensively with Kawhi and PG, and now you add Norman Powell and Robert Covington on the perimeter defending players. Man, they really gonna lock down a lot. And then Zoo, and then you got Hardenstein in the paint. You still got Nicholas Batum. He can guard 1 through 5 position. I mean, they're just an all-around deep team. And when you add Kawhi Leonard to it, they're even deeper, because now it makes everybody play at their regular position, but it also makes Kawhi superior because he got so much help and so many guys that can put the ball in the basket, and they don't need, Kawhi or anybody to set them up. They can just pretty much, go one-on-one and get to the basket whenever they choose to. They can pretty much just, a lot of their players can isolate and get their own shot. They don't need like somebody like a LeBron to pass them the ball and they catch and shoot. They don't really need that on the Clippers. They got a lot of guys who can get their own shot, which makes them so dangerous, because when you got a bunch of guys who can just shoot and can't get their own shot and put the ball on the floor and go to the basket, it makes a team look more one-dimensional. But the Clippers have much more versatility than that. So, adding Kawhi back, if he can get back healthy, this team could really, definitely make it to the finals and possibly win it easily. I think if he comes back. But at the same time, they're definitely gearing up, for Kawhi Leonard. I've been hearing reports here since yesterday that they're trying to see if Kawhi Leonard would feel healthy enough to come back in the play-in tournament. Now, that would be a big upgrade in regards to, or should I say a big update in regards to his injury status, because if he can do something like that, that would be great. I just don't personally see him, making it to the play-in tournament. I personally see him, if he's going to come back, it's probably going to be in the actual first round of the playoffs, which I believe they would probably draw Memphis. For some reason, I feel like that's who they're going to get for some reason, if they, got past the play-in. But we'll see, how that turns out. They got to get past the play-in tournament first. You got to take, one step before the other. So, you got to, figure that out there and see how that goes. But, Kawhi coming back in the play-in tournament, I don't know if he'll be able to come back quite that soon. I would at least maybe, try to rest him a little bit more if you could, and see if he can come back in the first round of the playoffs, what they projected, at first, which would have been, whoever they play in the first round, if they got past the play-in tournament, like if they play Memphis or Phoenix or whoever it may be, that's the time that was projected for Kawhi to make that return. So we'll see how it pans out, but I definitely like the fact that Kawhi's practicing, not really practicing with the team as far as we saw anyway, because, the Clippers have been very private about Kawhi Leonard, because that's the way he prefers to be, and who knows, he might actually be practicing with the team. We just don't see it, because Kawhi is more like, he wants a lot of the cameras off when he's practicing. He doesn't want too much attention on him at that time, because he gets enough attention on him when, the bright lights are on and everything. So I guess he feels like, he wants the cameras off when he's practicing and trying to, get into his mode and do his thing. So we don't know. He could be practicing with the team. and keeping things private. I mean, we did hear Norman Powell say about a week ago or 2 weeks ago that unless you hear from me that I'm, coming back or something like that, or whatever the case may be, it's all speculation. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, even with Norman Powell making that statement about a couple weeks ago, it just shows how private the Clippers prefer to be. They don't prefer to be in that spotlight in regards to, knowing everything that they're doing and why they're doing it. Even when Ty Lue talks like he worked for the FBI sometime in post games. He doesn't say too much. He doesn't say too little. He says just enough to give the reporters what they need or a good enough answer to get him off his back and move on to the next. And that's just exactly how the Clippers should operate, because, it's not good to let other people know every little thing you're doing and every move you make, because now they feel like they know you, and now they feel like they know everything, all your intentions, and they put out false reports. And that's definitely not a good thing. So, the Clippers definitely don't appreciate that, and they definitely don't play that way. That's the reason why they stay silent on a lot of things they do. But, and it fits Kawhi Leonard because he's definitely a silent killer himself. And, to me, it wouldn't surprise me if Kawhi Leonard did come back in the play-in tournament. It really wouldn't, because, like I said, Kawhi is a real hard worker. He works twice as hard as probably most players in the league to keep himself up and going. And, he really wants to be the best player he can be. He really wants to be the best. And, you can see it in certain players when they play, their attitude, their drive. And Kawhi just has that drive in him. And see, that drive, that dog mentality of what I talk about some other players should have. Sometimes it drives you to, play to another level, and it drives you to make, comebacks and be stronger in situations mentally than other players around you. So, it'd be great to see Kawhi Leonard come back. I personally, I don't believe he's going to come back in the play-in tournament. If he is going to make a return, which I believe he will, I believe he's going to be in the first round of playoffs. Whenever they get to that point, if they make it to that point, I believe he'll play then, and then we'll see exactly where he is in regards to, rhythm and things like that, if he's able to play. And I guarantee you, if he comes out there, just him being on the floor will make the Clippers so much more excited and ready to go, because now they know even more so it's championship. They're going to make it to the finals probably if they got Kawhi Leonard on the floor, because him just being on the floor, not even being at 100%, scoring the way he usually does, is going to make them even more dangerous, because he's just out there on the floor, and he's such a threat because we know who he is. He's Kawhi Leonard. So until he gets his rhythm, they're still going to be a dangerous team. They still be a dangerous team with him out there, because it makes the defenses look at the situation so much more different because he's out there. And like I said, the fact that he returned from an ACL injury in, decent short amount of time, definitely will say a lot about him if he can do that. And I definitely think he wants to, because he said it in media day several months ago. And even when he made the statement where he said he doesn't really feel like he's injured, he's been working twice as hard to get himself back so he can, run with this team, because, like I said, Kawhi knows the window of opportunity of winning championship is very, very small now, because you don't know if next year, if the Clippers just wait till next year and bring him back, and let's say, he doesn't play this year or something like that, which is, that's fine too. We have to live with that, because like I said, ACL injuries are nothing to sniff over. That's an injury that you want to take your time with, because that's a long-term injury. That's not a short-term injury. We all know that. So it's okay if he did have to sit out another season. This season, because everybody would understand. But at the same time, I think Kawhi Leonard's looking at it like, there's no guarantee for next year. Because like I said, what if another team forms a big three? Now you have bigger problems, because now that team is more likely probably going to go to the finals if they stay healthy. And now if the Clippers do make the finals, now you got to face a team with a big three on offense, and you got to try to defend all those players with their role players. And it's just going to make it tough. That's the reason why big three teams usually win championships, because it's like hard to defend all the offensive talent that they have. And if they got defense, it makes it even harder to beat them, because now they're versatile, because they got more superstars than you, and they got, just as good as role players. So, it could be a situation like that. So I feel like Kawhi Leonard, is looking at it, from the standpoint of, if I can come back and help this team win now and get that championship, that would be great. Get it out the way. And, the whole operation wouldn't be a bust. And because I personally think next year they're going to be the scariest and the most dangerous team in the NBA if they stay healthy. But that's the problem. If they stay healthy, they haven't been able to do that. The last couple of years, it's always been one major player or a major key piece that's been hurt with them. So hopefully, this season, if Kawhi comes back going into playoffs, they can stay healthy, and going into next year, they can stay healthy as well. Because I definitely want to see this team flourish and see what they really can be rather than imagine what they can be. And, all those things, I want to be able to see it play out in reality, just like everybody else does. Want to see if they're really, who they say they are, and really see if they can really live up to the hype. And I believe they can, especially with all the talent that they have. But definitely, I'm definitely shooting for Kawhi Leonard to come back this season. I definitely think he wants to. And I definitely believe people around his camp is, giving out the notion that he wants to. And they haven't ruled Kawhi Leonard out for the season yet. So, I definitely think he's going to be out for the season. I don't think he's going to play these last 2 games, of course. I don't believe he's going to play in the play-in tournament. If he does come back, I personally believe that he's going to come back in the first round of the playoffs, because that's what's projected for him to do, in regards to, his health and everything like that. So we'll have to see if it all pans out that way. That's reports that I've gotten about the situation, and people close to him is saying that, he should, think about it. And, I'm hearing that Kawhi Leonard himself, is saying, yes, I want to go and try to, play this season. So, when you hear reports, like that back and forth, you take some with a grain of salt, but at the same time, you got to be hopeful. And when you're being hopeful, you definitely hope that Kawhi Leonard makes a decision to come back if he's healthy enough to do so. I don't want Kawhi Leonard to come back if he's not, healthy enough. If he feel like it's not 100%, if he feel like he can't, maneuver and dominate the way he would, before he got injured, then, don't do it. I definitely respect it, but I definitely believe that, he's thinking in his mind, he needs to try to come back. He needs to try to do it now, because next year is no guarantee. Tomorrow's not promised, and it's all about now. It's all about in the moment. And in the moment, they got a really good team. And in the moment, when you look at the teams like Phoenix Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies and the Warriors, when they're healthy, the Clippers can take all those teams if they got Kawhi Leonard. It's no doubt they can. Will they? If they, play them or something like that, that's, that remains to be seen. But are they capable of beating those teams? Of course they are. They're capable of beating everybody in the NBA if they got Kawhi Leonard. It's just no doubt. So, with that being said, we got to see how it all pans out. But I hope Kawhi Leonard comes back, this season in the first round of the playoffs, as we talked about, and I hope he goes out there and dominate, because I definitely think this team is, even though they got Paul George and Norman Powell's coming back, they're definitely gonna need Kawhi Leonard, because at some point you're gonna run into that team, that buzzsaw that's gonna give you plenty of problems, and when they do, you need that stopper who can stop them on defense and make some and give you a score efficiently on the other end. And that's Kawhi Leonard, their best player. Paul George can defend. Paul George can, knock down big shots. But Paul George sometimes has a lot of issues with his efficiency and his shooting. He has games where he goes 5 for 15. Then he has games where he goes 10 for 15. And that inconsistency right there, when you're in the playoffs, hurts you a lot, because you're playing against teams you might be playing against a team who's more efficient, who passes the ball just as good, and a team who's well coached. When you're playing against a team like that, you can't have too many off games. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself at home. And that's where Kawhi Leonard's value comes in at the most, because Kawhi can give you an efficient 30 on one end, but he also can shut down a superstar on the other end, or shut him down enough to where he can neutralize them to where his team will win, the same way he did against Dallas last year when everybody was hyping up Luka, and he shut all of it down by eliminating them and getting them out the way. Send them home for a second straight year in a row. And that's what I'm talking about. At some point, they're going to need Kawhi Leonard, and he knows that. The team knows that. And, they really do have a really good team. And like I said, to me, this is the year for them to win it. So if Kawhi can come back, definitely do that. Definitely come back and make some noise, because honestly, if he's on the floor and if he's 100%, I'm not putting any player in the West over him. He's the best player on the floor in every single series they'll play. No doubt about that. If he's 100%, he's the best player on the floor in every single series they could play in the Western Conference, every single series in the Eastern Conference, he would be the best player on the floor. Because mentally, he owns Giannis, and Kevin Durant is good, but he doesn't play both ends of the floor the way Kawhi can. And on top of that, LeBron is older. So if you ask me, if Kawhi is healthy, he's the best player in the game. And I believe if he gets healthy enough to play this year, you'll see the Clippers win the championship if Kawhi Leonard can make a return and play at the level that he was before. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Cali out.